Podcast City Network.
This is Final Score, your number one podcast for sports news. Here are your hosts, Chris and Craig.
Hey guys, we are back here for another live episode of Final Score, episode 50, a monumentous episode for so many reasons. As you just watched, we have a new pre-show intro. We have a new intro. As you're watching right now, we have a brand new template. Like, we have all kinds of crazy things happening. It's time for excitement.
My favorite part about that, gotta adjust the volume a little bit. My favorite part about that was you cheesing the whole way through listening to this whole new intro. Like mics are hot. We're waiting to listen to the intro. It's great. We've been waiting for these changes for probably a month, I would say.
Oh, yeah. I've been trying to get everything in the works, making sure everything is dialed in just right, because that's the key thing. If we don't have it right, why do it at all? So
I mean, it's fun to trial and error, right? I mean, who's going to watch? The 5 people that are watching right now?
I don't know. Let me jump in and see 2 right now, Kurt.
Oh, sorry. See, the 2 people that are watching us right now. Hi.
Love you.
And my mom's over in the audience, so hi. Hello, everybody. Thank you for paying attention for an hour.
But you know what, though? It's still a lot of great things going on, at least here with the show. You know, we got this new template, all these new designs, all these new great things we've been doing, a lot of things we've been involved in. But if you want to stay up to date on all the crazy things we do, you have to make sure that you follow us on social media at PCN Final Score on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Go over, give us a like, give us a follow, give us a share to all of your friends, invite your friends even. But more importantly than anything, leave us a rating. Let us know how we're doing, because we always try to bring the very, very best that we can, week in and week out. And hey, it's gotten us to episode 50, so we're doing something right.
I think we're doing something right, yeah. But it's been a lot of fun, and we're really thankful for everybody that tunes in every week, or at least shares us, or even leaves a comment. Something that
we appreciate it.
It's always helpful. We like to engage with the audience and figure out what it is that you want to see from us. So we really appreciate it, and looking forward to the next 50 whenever that starts.
Whenever that may start.
Whenever that may start. We got a soundboard, by the way.
We got a soundboard, too. Like I said, a lot of newness and excitement going on here. But we also have all these great content platforms that we are on, including none other than Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, Podbean, iHeartRadio, YouTube, and, of course, Apple Podcasts. Go on any of those platforms and search keyword Final Score, one word. Give us a like, give us a follow, and download all the latest content, because we now have 50 episodes to choose from, plus a little bit of side stuff we've even thrown on there, some segment and stuff. So definitely go check it all out. It's a lot of stuff to check out, and give us a download, and also leave us a comment. Let us know how we're doing.
Yeah, and moving forward, we're also going to have we're going to start doing interviews, bringing on people that in the sports world and from other shows, and looking forward to having and listening to their unique stories and perspectives on everything. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We got a lot of exciting stuff planned.
There are a lot of exciting things that we have planned, a lot of great things that are happening, not even just here, but also with Podcast City Network, our parent network. You can find them on social media and on at their website. I'm getting all tongue-tied. I'm all excited right now. At our website at podcastcity.net, check out all the great things they have going on, including live events, new shows, a lot of crazy things that are always going on, including, like we said this past weekend, we had the Podcast City Network 2-year anniversary show at City Limits Tap Room in beautiful DeLand, Florida. So a lot of great things that are happening there. So definitely make sure to go check them out on Facebook at facebook.com/Podcast City Network, and on Twitter at Podcast City Net, and on the website podcastcity.net. So a lot of good stuff.
And one of the new platforms that actually we are kind of partnering with, we've met over the last week or so, is PodChaser.
That's right.
So PodChaser is an extensive podcast database. They're an advanced search and links functionality. They can follow and share and then rate your favorite podcasts and episodes, and you can even go follow specific content creators. So this whole,
that's awesome.
It's basically like, it seems like it's a little bit of a social media / IMDb of podcasting, which is really, really cool. And that whole database, they're working on building more. They actually have some functionalities that you can go and find guests and things of that nature. Like you can go find other guests to bring on your show, and just what they've been able to do with that platform is something that's never been done before. But it's really cool. So if you want to go find that, you can go to podchaser.com, search keyword FinalScore, follow, rate, review, because as of right now, the only reviews that anybody follows is Apple Podcasts.
That's right.
And they're offering an alternative to that, and also something that's a lot more fun and user-friendly. And their Twitter game is on fire. Their Twitter game is fire right now. So go check out podchaser.com, search keyword FinalScore, and you can also find Podcast City Network on Podchaser as of yesterday.
That's right.
Podcast City Network, search that keyword on Podchaser. Go find us.
Yeah, a lot of great stuff going on. And, of course, we're also now on the free podcast app that you can download on your phone called Bullhorn. So definitely go check us out over on Bullhorn. You can download on your Google Play Store or on your Apple Store on any of your Apple or Android devices. Just search keyword FinalScore, one word. Give us a follow. Give us a listen. And it's absolutely free. So it's no cost to you. Just go on and enjoy all your favorite podcasts, including FinalScore, and check out everything they have going on. It's a really great app. I have it myself. Definitely check it out.
Absolutely. And just a couple of shout-outs here. Denver, and our friend Denver here, who's also one of the upper management of Podcast City Network, one of the owners. Shout-out to him who's in here. And David C. Russell, what's going on, man? Welcome to the show.
Yes, definitely. We've got a lot of great stuff going on. And, of course, like we said, with these hosts, a lot of great hosts that we have on the network, whether it be David C. Russell with Deathmatch Russell Podcast or Denver Everett with the Everett Lee Show. So many great things. And, of course, hey, Super Radio Brothers even are killing it. I got the shirt on right here.
I love that new logo. They did that about a month ago, right?
Yeah, it's so clean. I'm so happy to get this shirt. I've been wearing it so proudly. So definitely make sure to check them out too. And that's part of what we do here is we try to have people helping people here at the network, and we try to have a good time while doing it.
They're on Podchaser too. So is David C. Russell.
That's right. So definitely make sure to check them out. Give them a rating. Give them a review. Let them know how they're doing. And more importantly, everything, give us a follow. We got to know you guys are there. So definitely check it out. A lot of great stuff. But we now have gotten to the point where we actually have to talk about what little sports there are right now.
Right.
Things have been absolutely insane and horrendous, which has been kind of bad timing for us, I guess, for us to have our episode 50. But hey, sports, well, I guess I can't say sports never stops because now it has.
It has grinded to a halt, really.
It has grinded to the halt, and it all started with the NBA suspending their season after this past Wednesday when, excuse me, my goodness, I'm all over the place. Jazz star Rudy Gobert tested positive for coronavirus and prompted the move by the NBA right before the Oklahoma City Utah Jazz matchup that was supposed to happen on Wednesday. And it was a very interesting situation down there just because coronavirus has been kind of running a little bit rampant here. And a lot of people have been very worrisome about how it could affect you and how it could affect others, especially in large gatherings. And what crazier place to have something like that happen than a sporting event?
And you got to think about it. Like if that's the easiest way something like this could be spreading is at these gatherings. You got up to 20,000 people all in very close quarters. You've been some of these NBA games. They pack people in tight at times. So
they really do.
The fact that they done this, and we had talked about this over the last week. There's no other major sports. There's too much money at stake, and everything but the NFL at this point has grinded to a halt. Which we'll talk about that in a second.
Oh, we definitely will.
But what the NBA has done is now anyone that has been in contact with any member of the Jazz whatsoever is getting tested for coronavirus. So the Toronto Raptors actually just got tested because they were an opponent previous to
just before
they were the opponent the night before, and from what we've seen, nobody's tested positive from them yet. But it is kind of interesting that Rudy Gobert is the one that was tested positive, and he was walking around touching all the microphones and kind of acting like a fool. And now Donovan Mitchell, his teammate, has also tested positive for coronavirus. And how pissed off do you think he is? Like, just frivolously just touching everything and like we get it. People joke about this a lot.
Yes,
okay, like we joke about, I got coronavirus, but it's getting to the point where I don't think it should be a joke anymore.
No, it shouldn't. But also at the same end, people also need to keep in mind not to get too hysterical about this. You get mass hysteria that ends up causing a whole number of other problems that nobody needs. But the thing with this is that this is becoming a more serious issue, and I feel the NBA ended up being the spearhead that has ultimately grinded worldwide sports to a halt at this point. And it started with the NBA, and the NBA was already trying to take steps at that point. Before Rudy Gobert tested positive. They had already instituted a players and team personnel only rule in the locker room, as well as a 6 to 8 foot radius between media and players, trying to do everything they can. They were even considering playing in fanless arenas, which the Golden State Warriors were already planning on doing this past Thursday before everything got shut down. So they were already trying to take some kind of steps here.
I think it's funny that you mentioned that a 6 to 8 foot barrier between media and players. But you know how bad we've been to the XFL showcase.
Oh yes.
You know how the media people cram together because they're all trying to get the right shot, the right angle, like to ask questions.
And then of course miking everybody up.
Yeah, you got to mic everybody up. So how are you going to handle that? But I think one of the big things that's come out of this in a positive way is that NBA owners, they have come out, like Mark Cuban on the live broadcast before they shut the NBA down. They were asking about how the team was affected, and his first response was basically, who gives a shit about the team? He's like, the people that work in this arena, they're all hourly.
And Mark Cuban,
who's going to pay them?
Exactly.
So,
Mark Cuban was one of the very first to come out and said that he was going to make sure that everybody was going to be paid while we were going through this time. But what's funny though is a lot of teams have not followed the same kind of suit. A lot of players have come out and have donated money. Most notably Zion Williamson.
That's a big one because he's a rookie and he's on a structured deal.
Exactly.
And he's willing to do what the ownership of the Pelicans is not willing to do.
And I think that's huge. And honestly, speaks very much right now of the franchise as a whole, because at the end of the day, a lot of these franchises aren't taking that approach. But I got to give credit to where credit is due. People like Zion Williamson, Kevin Love, even
he was the first one to start it. He donated $100,000, and now other players are just simply saying, "Look, we're going to pay these people salaries for 30 days, or whatever the case is." You mentioned Kevin Love, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Blake Griffin from Detroit, and then Steph Curry at Golden State. All these players are now coming out to the forefront and offering to pay the hourly rate of these workers while there's a stoppage.
Which is honestly monumental for these people, because these are just normal, everyday working people that go to work, put their work in, collect their paycheck, and go home and take care of themselves and their families. So, it's really awesome, though, to see these people still stepping up, even through this type of a crisis, and showing not only humility, but humanity to be able to try and help others that are going to be severely affected by this. Yeah,
and it's only going to be more and more intriguing with the every day. It seems like each day now there's, okay, well, this can't shut down, and then it does. And then this can't shut down, then it does. We were talking about this. There's no way that the NBA is going to shut down. And they did. The NHL shut down. Golf shut down. We're supposed to have the players this weekend just north of us in Jacksonville, and they shut that down mid-round.
Yep.
The college basketball shut down. XFL was going to play without fans, and they shut down.
Even English Premier League, which I think was one of the last standing bastions of sport across the world, was going to go forward, and then an Arsenal, my favorite English Premier team, Arsenal, one of their coaching staff came down with the virus, and then at that point they're like, nope, sorry, we're shutting down all 4 tiers.
And that brings up a good point. Everyone kind of jokes about this until it happens to someone immediately in the vicinity.
Exactly.
I know we had made the comments, whether they're right or wrong, we had made comments about this a few days ago, and then in DeLand nearby,
just
within a few days,
city limits,
somebody came down positive to coronavirus, and we're just like, oh shit. This is real. This is on your front doorstep. But all these, and then Disney shuts down, and then Universal, and now they're talking about even in Vegas they're starting to shut things down. If Vegas goes down, then you're talking some very serious situation here in the country. But that kind of rolls into, really, it's all one big topic, but it's segmented. The actual virus itself. So, the World Health Organization, they declared it a pandemic within the last couple days. So,
Yeah,
it's kind of was just growing like, okay, it's just the flu, and now we're like, oh, the media is pushing this and that, and now you're looking at 115,000 worldwide cases, over 1,200 in the U.S. That number continues to climb. Our numbers are skewed. Obviously, because people can't get tested. Mm-hmm. But look at like Italy is in complete lockdown.
Right now. And
I think that's what scientists are projecting that the U.S. will be like if we don't do what we're doing now.
Mm-hmm. Which that's going to be the big thing.
Yeah, and that's a big thing. So.
Yeah, we'll definitely see what happens with this. It's going to be very interesting because this is unprecedented in a lot of ways. We've seen labor lockouts. We've seen wars affect gaming, or games, I should say, or terrorism affect games, especially back in 2001. But never to this level have I seen anything affect sport to the point where we're not going to have anything for weeks, possibly even months, depending upon how this runs its course. So it's going to be very interesting, yet scary at the same time. I don't know what to do myself. I'm on day 3 of no sports, and I'm hurting. I'm really hurting.
Yeah, it's funny, the memes that are coming out now, like day 2 of no sports is just Michael Scott just swinging by himself. Like,
it's too good.
Yeah, it's funny, but in all seriousness, I mean, when you've got the NCAA canceled the March Madness tournament for both men and women, which that was one where like there's no way they can do it, right? And then they do. NCAA has suspended all spring and summer sports whatsoever. Yeah. So now they're talking about will the NCAA grant eligibility for these seniors that now they're losing out on a whole year. So
yeah, and it's going to be interesting. And now there was even a report I saw yesterday where NBA owners might have a way, because of a doomsday clause in the CBA with the NBA, that they might be able to skip out on paying a lot of these players millions of dollars just because we might end up with a season-long shutdown.
Yeah, that's going to be really intriguing if that does happen, because of, you think, oh, they're millionaires, they're these athletes, but no, they still get paid salaried every couple weeks, just like everybody else that's on salary. So, I mean, if this ends up forcing that hand, it's going to be really, I think it's going to be a really scary thought for the world of sports.
Oh, yes.
Because then you're going to see some really, really big, I would say, shit hit the fan.
Yeah, exactly. And just to kind of give you a re-rundown of everything that's been canceled, both the men's and women's basketball tournaments for NCAA, done. ACC has come out and has suspended all athletics. Most all FBS and FCS programs have canceled their spring games. The NBA, Major League Soccer, Major League Baseball, the National Hockey League have all had already closed their clubhouses in response to this, and now have gone as far as suspending all of their seasons, including the XFL as well on top of that. Literally within days of the NBA suspending their season. We mentioned the English Premier League finally suspended their season. NFL teams are suspending travel and canceling their annual meeting that's supposed to take place in April. Yep. So it's definitely going to be affecting even leagues that are not in season right now. This has even gone as far as the NFL is going to be closing facilities, and they claim they're not going to delay the start of the league year or free agency. But apparently that is something that has creeped back into possibilities, and talks are now being had over this weekend. And even WWE WrestleMania is affected by this. WrestleMania might get...
Not yet.
Well,
not officially.
Yet. We will find out Monday, though.
Monday.
Monday the 16th, the Tampa Bay officials will be having their own meetings on the future of live events for the next 30 days in the Tampa Bay area, which would include WrestleMania 36, which WrestleMania has never been canceled or postponed. So it's definitely going to be very interesting. It's affecting everything.
Yeah, the Tampa mayor already came out last week and said that it is up to the WWE because they know how much money's at stake. There's $160 million at stake just for the city of Tampa.
Oh, yeah.
By not having this event. And they've said, look, WWE will do whatever you want to do. So they're supposed to meet Monday with the WWE to be able to figure out what the move is from here. Vince doesn't want to shut that down.
No, he doesn't. And he doesn't want to lose money on it in any sort of way. So, that's something that I know he right now is kind of waiting. WWE has not made any further remarks other than they plan to go on with the show. I think at this point, Vince McMahon is just waiting for Tampa to pull the trigger so he can have someone to blame, to be honest. But Who knows?
But Tampa's already come out, and they said they're not gonna do anything. If WWE wants to go forward with it, they're gonna do it because they know how much tourism dollars it's gonna be. But it's also a very scary situation because, like, I have tickets to WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm. And keep in mind, with this being at Raymond James Stadium, they're going to be packing that place to 75,000 people.
People from all over the world that come to see this event.
Hundreds of people from hundreds of countries
are
represented at this event. So I have a feeling it's going to end up getting canceled. Or not canceled, but at least postponed. So
if you have a really good website that I can find a hazmat suit, I need 2 of them. Just send us in a comment here. Let me know, because if it's still on, I will go in a hazmat suit and I will live stream the whole thing.
If no one will go with you, I volunteer myself.
Okay, you volunteer as tribute.
I would even pay a fee for that ticket, sir. Just to help,
Just to help.
Doing what I can for the economy. But at the end of the day, though, it is very crazy to see how quickly this has really shook not just the world of sports, but the world as a whole. And new news is always coming out. We have the government has already declared, the U.S. government, I should say, has already declared a national emergency and all these different things. So it's kind of a crazy situation, man.
Yeah, they're restricting flights from the red flag countries. That would be most of Europe, China, Iran, but they're only allowed to fly into 13 U.S. airports, and one of them being Miami, which is kind of scary for us.
Don't you have to go there soon?
I do, actually, tonight for work.
So we need that hazmat suit as soon as possible.
We need that hazmat suit as soon as possible. But that's even, but it's one of those things that it is. The numbers are slowly climbing. Death tolls aren't really going up or anything yet. But I mean, it's just one of those things that is the media blowing it out of proportion for last month. We talked about this over the last week. The media does this on purpose. Like they know how to get fear out of people. They do this for ratings. They do it, but there is, I think, some substance to it at this point.
At this point, yes.
Because you had mentioned just before we went live that seeing reports of how this thing is already mutating into becoming more deadly. So I think what we have done so far is a step in the right direction as a country to suspend a lot of this stuff. Because if we don't, the peak of how many people can be affected goes way up.
Yeah, it really does. And that's the big thing they've noticed is that the infectious rate of this actual virus has increased tenfold. This was at a rating of about a 2, they said, which was in comparison, measles is at an 18.
Yeah.
And SARS is at a 4.
Right.
But this now has gotten to the point to where if you're in a large room, this can be transmitted airborne to where if you're standing 6 to 8 feet from me and are breathing in my general direction, there's a possibility I can catch this virus. So it's very, very serious. So definitely everybody, please make sure, wash your hands after touching things. Wash your hands after touching people. Don't put your hands in your mouth. I feel like I'm talking to my kids right now.
Right.
But seriously, just take it seriously and take every precaution you can. If you feel you have come down with it, try to get tested if you can and self-quarantine as soon as possible. Very important.
The big thing is just because of how the American health system works, you probably won't get access to get tested unless you are rich and famous. But quarantining yourself and just take care of yourself as if you had the flu is at least a good enough start.
Yeah.
A good enough start until you can at least get yourself tested. But please take every precaution necessary. Treat it, I wouldn't say treat it like you're going to die, but like we don't know what it's going to be yet, but at least treat it as if it was you're about to hit the massive flu and like you're going to be down for a couple days.
Yeah, definitely try and take it seriously. Take it every precaution you can. Just don't feed into mass hysteria. I think that's the big thing because I can't even find toilet paper at the store right now.
That's a big thing. So I told you we found some at the.
Oh, sorry, you got hit by the buzzer, sir.
I got hit by the buzzer.
You got hit by the buzzer.
The dollar store had some, but not much.
Yeah, and it's definitely crazy. Hopefully, I can find some later today.
Hopefully, you can.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. But we're going to go ahead and move on to our next topic, and that's with the NFL collective bargaining agreement. And there's been a lot of movement with this recently, and a lot of people that are flat out not happy.
Yeah, this is really interesting because right now with everything that's going on with this coronavirus, there's there's a lot of wonder if the players are going to try to like just go ahead and if they're going to vote yes on this, if they're just going to try to maybe slip something in last minute to get it passed. But the Panthers offensive tackle Russell Okung, he filed a formal complaint with the National Labor Relations Board against the NFLPA and the NFLPA executive director, DeMaurice Smith, accusing them of pushing the CBA vote through despite objections from players, which is funny because DeMaurice Smith has also been under fire over, the last few years for similar things that players did not like them doing. So it's really interesting that I think they're trying to push this through. And the players, you can tell, like they don't really like this too much.
No, they really don't. They've had a lot of issues, especially with the fact of them adding an additional game. That's one of their biggest bugaboos is that they're having to go through and be able to now have to play this extra game that could possibly affect them in an injury, with an injury or some type of issue that could, lead them to ending their career. And that's the thing is that they don't want to add more workload onto themselves at this point, which I don't necessarily blame them. But the big thing is that it seems interesting that obviously the owners are going to push this through, but that the NFL Players Association has also just gone ahead and pushed this through as well without really taking into consideration what these players are saying. And these aren't just small names. There's been a lot of large notable names, including Aaron Rodgers, who's come out about this, among others. And it's just interesting to me that they would not listen to some of the biggest players in your league to how this should be, because they're the ones that are playing this. They're the ones that are going to have to go through this.
Right. It's kind of scary if you're involved with a player in the NFL or are a player in the NFL that your own union is not listening to you. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where you may at some point see players try to break away from the NFLPA. I don't know how that would happen. I know there's a lot of legal stuff involved with that, but I mean, it wouldn't be out of it happens in unions all the time. Mm-hmm. Right? So, I mean, it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility, but they ended up thankfully delaying the vote until today. So hopefully we'll find out something today if the NFL CBA gets voted on yes.
Well, maybe they just need to stand up and just say,
I'm a man. I'm 40.
I'm just saying, maybe
I know you really wanted to use that.
I've been waiting to use that one.
You've been waiting to use that.
But it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. And now you have the coronavirus entering into the situation, which very well could possibly delay a lot of free agency, the new league year, which starts on the 18th. It's going to be interesting to see how all this works out. It's going to be a very fluid situation. I honestly feel like a lot of this is honestly happening because Tom Brady doesn't know where he wants to play yet, but that's just me. But who knows? Who really knows?
So, we got a couple of minutes left on this subject. So, do you think they will delay the start of the league year?
I don't think they're going to delay the start of the league year. I think that's something that's so easy to kind of keep up with that you don't really have to delay it in any kind of way because it's really just a marker to just say, hey, now we're starting the new league year. I don't think that's going to stop. However, what I do see being stopped and possibly even delayed are things like the NFL draft.
Yep.
You could see free agency. I don't think will be as affected, even though apparently there's reports that they are looking into delaying free agency, which I don't feel you really need to at this point.
Well, we got people like Mike Florio, who is now becoming low-key the next, Skip Bayless and Colin Cowherd of the football world. That's all he does on Twitter is just shock and shock value tweets, which is completely freaking ridiculous. But
what do you expect?
Yeah, exactly. What do you expect? I've been wondering for the last week or so, are they going to cancel the NFL draft? You mentioned the travel restrictions. They're already canceling workouts. They're canceling, pro days. They're canceling all that stuff.
Player visits to franchises have been canceled. They've completely changed scouting plans, everything.
Yep. So I'm with you. I don't think they should cancel or delay the start of the league year because you can do free agency. You don't have to be face-to-face anymore.
No, you can DocuSign and do like what we're doing right now and video chat with people and be able to do what you need.
You can video chat with people and you can do it like the old way. You can fax something to someone and then sign it and fax it back.
Who would have thought?
Who would have thought that technology still existed?
Oh, man.
But, I mean, I don't think they should delay the start of free agency. But the big thing, I think the reason why they're thinking that, remember what happens in free agency. midnight happens, people show up at doorsteps. People like, you know what I mean? It's the sales portion of it.
That's true. But I feel like a lot of these things, especially with what we're dealing with now, teams aren't going to want to wait. Players aren't going to want to wait. People are going to want to get signed. They want to get deals done because everybody knows in the back of their mind that this entire coronavirus epidemic is going to end up passing us by at some point. Big question is just when. So with that, business still has to go on. And we've already seen things happening where a lot of teams are already making their preparations, cutting players. The Minnesota Vikings cut a number of players as well as others. So a lot of teams are already preparing. They're still trying to keep business as usual. And I think that will continue to happen just because of the advent of great technology that we have these days. You can do everything without being face to face. So I think it's going to end up keep on going on. Keep on going on.
Yeah, I don't think the NFL will stop rolling. I don't think any reason why they would need to other than the draft and those things. But yeah, I'm with you. I don't think they should stop the free agency. I don't think they should stop the new league year. But we'll see what happens.
The big question, though, is if this goes longer than, say, the next month, we start getting the draft time. What do we do about the draft? Because that's something that's going to be big. Now, you probably could do the draft remotely, realistically. But now you're looking at the fact that they've turned this into a big spectacle.
Right. A lot of players still stay at home now with their families instead of go to the draft. So, I mean, that is a possibility. They could do it like how they used to do it in Radio City Music Hall, where they just have people, or like you said, they could do it remotely where they have people in the league office, and you could do it like the old who used to do it that way? A league used to do it. Oh, MLB used to do it that way.
Oh, yeah, Major League Baseball. I remember what you're talking about.
Yeah, Major League Baseball used to do it that way. They would just sit in an empty room with nobody and just announce picks and trades. So that's a possibility. But yeah, that's a very real thing. You got to wonder, are they going to delay or cancel the draft if this extends more than just a couple weeks?
And the thing I look at, too, is that if they do decide to actually delay it, will it be for the reasoning of money? Because like I said a little bit ago, that this has become a spectacle. When they did it in Nashville, that was huge. They had people lined up for blocks up to the stage just so people could catch a glimpse of people being drafted. And now this is supposed to be taking place, if I'm not mistaken, in Las Vegas this year. So with that being said, and everything that's happening in Vegas and casinos considering their own shutdowns in response to this and all that, are you really going to be able to put on any kind of an actual event and turn this into what they're trying to have turned this into for the past 2 years? So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see really how the NFL is going to approach this. So I don't know. We'll see. But it's crazy nonetheless. You know what else is crazy, though? And we're going to go ahead and just skip ahead. Forget our timer, because it's our show. We do what we want. America.
It's just a guideline in case we run over. Because, we used to have we still kind of do, have a tendency of running over that timer.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. But this is to keep us honest. So we're not having, 2.5 and 3 hour shows like we've put you guys through sometimes.
And we appreciate you if you stuck around for those. We definitely that's
do.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we're going through growing pains constantly, so we appreciate it.
But we did go to a great event last weekend, a monumental event that honestly I think was kind of changing for me. I don't know about you, but PodFest Expo 2020, which also had the introduction of the Sports PodCon, a really great event that we had down at the World Resort Marriott in Orlando, here in Florida. And I tell you what, I had a great time. I don't know about you.
Oh, I was there all weekend, and it was
Did you take that tent over there?
No, I actually just sleeping bag, just.
Nice.
Sleep out.
Sleep where you can get it in. Gotcha.
Yeah, just sleep where I could get it in. So, but no, it was a great event. We had a whole day just dedicated to a sports podcast convention, which is what Sports PodCon is derived from. So, being able to meet, being able to meet so many amazing people, whether it's hearing all their stories and just hearing all of the things that are going in, how this industry is growing, just really how this industry is growing of sports podcasting.
Not to interrupt you though, but I have one of our listeners who thinks you might be having an issue with puberty, possibly.
Oh, Adam?
Yeah. You already know who I'm talking about. I love it.
The Iceman.
The Iceman himself.
The Iceman. Yeah, he. I did see that. I
couldn't help myself. I had to point it out.
Yeah, it might be my voice. I don't know. It is a weird thing,
Oh my goodness.
But no, PodFest Expo is, if you are in this industry, this realm, whether it's as a hobby, you're just starting, or you want to start, or you've been doing it for a while, these conventions, I cannot stress the value that you can get out of these opportunities to go meet other people and to meet people in your industry and just to connect with other people, because you never know who you're going to run into. You never know who you're going to have a conversation with and have a connection with that can help you immediately or down the road.
Absolutely. And it's monumental. It's just the kind of experts and people you can meet in the field that are just so willing to talk to you and help you, as long as you're willing to be there and ask the questions. And that's what's so crazy to me, is the amount of people, like when we met the guys with PodChaser, great guys, and the amount of information that we learned from them was monumental to me. So it's just the great things we learned. Of course, going by Podbean and Podbean hooking us up yet again while we were there. Always great to see our host site trying to do what they can. And that's the big thing about the event, is that it's people helping people grow, helping people learn, helping people better themselves as podcasters, helping better their shows. All of it was amazing. Definitely check it out. And I know I'm going next year. Yeah,
the great thing about this event is a lot of the speakers that were doing these sessions, some of them are famous in the podcasting world, but most of them are just people that are on the rise. And they're people that have something unique to offer and they want to share with everybody else.
Absolutely.
And this community, this podcast community, doesn't matter what genre you're in, how long you've been doing it. Most people don't care, because most people, like you said, they're there to help other people grow, get better, and just learn. And that's what I really love about this community. And Chris, the organizer of the event, we've met him through the Florida Podcast Association.
Yeah, we did.
So having to see him over that weekend and just to see all the amount of work that's put into an event like that, it's amazing. I can't wait.
Is.
And actually, hopefully next year we will be able to help with the kind of helping out with putting together a bigger sports podcon next year.
Definitely.
John Largent, the guy who's the founder and runner of Sports Podcon,
Good old John.
Good friend of ours that we've met over the weekend, and we're looking forward to helping grow this event next year. And they're talking about next year doing multiple tracks within Sports Podcon, traditional esports. I think there was another one too. Like streaming, and stuff too, like that, live streaming and.
Which is interesting because of how all of it can work out and how all of it works together. It's really, truly, you know what? We got to do this right now.
Yeah, a
little applause for everybody, because it was really a great event.
It was an awesome event, and I'm looking forward to next year.
And there's a pic of us, right here together at the Sports Podcon. We were getting ready to walk into another keynote speaker. So we had a really great time, a lot of great things that we learned, and I'm not gonna lie, we look pretty great in this picture.
Yeah, we met a lot of cool people that we're going to be either interviewing over the next couple weeks. I know Philip with the Bucks Report.
Yep.
We met him. Jeff Novak that covers the Pelicans. He's got his own Pelicans podcast. Hopefully talking to him over the next couple weeks. And then just meeting other people that we can bring on and help join, our cause and join the network and all that. So it's a fun event. I had so much fun. And then, of course, they did like the breakout stuff or the parties or whatever they do at night.
Get-togethers.
The social events was really cool.
Yeah.
They did dueling pianos Saturday night. It was really cool.
Pretty awesome.
It was awesome. But it's a very motivating thing, and like I'm really excited that I got to be there for all 3 days, and it was awesome. And I know you got to join me on Friday. Denver joined me on Sunday. It was awesome.
Yeah, because Saturday, me and Denver were both extremely busy with the 2-year anniversary show for Podcast City Network. While we went live, let me get my English going today, on Facebook Live at facebook.com/Podcast City Network, just to plug it in there, where you can go and actually watch all these videos.
Shameless plug. Shameless plug.
Just directing people. And you can go on there and enjoy all the great interviews we did, because we were able to go down there, had a nice table set up, had our new banner all laid out. We got to talk with Thicket, got to talk with Rendered Abstract. We actually got Rendered Abstract drunk as part of draft day, so that was fun. As well as Seven Kingdoms. We had Seven Kingdoms on, and even got some live video of them doing their set, and a lot of great pictures, a lot of great stuff. We're going to be sharing it later today, and a lot of the stuff's going to be on YouTube and on our website at podcastcity.net. So definitely make sure to check all of that out. All of it's going to get posted today. But it was a really great event. A lot of great people came out. A lot of fun was had. I know I probably rang up a bar tab that was way too large that I will not talk about. And hopefully Chris Carnage will not have an issue with it. I'm really praying he doesn't have an issue with it. But we'll see.
Chris Carnage? You got to worry about Kelly.
Oh, yeah.
Don't worry about Chris Carnage.
Yeah, the Mrs. Carnage.
You got to worry about Mrs. Carnage.
I don't think I told her how much I spent either. So, anyways.
Shock. Hello. She's watching right now.
Yes, she is. Anyways, I'll be home soon, honey. It was a really great event. A lot of fun was had, and I got to play with some of our new equipment that we've now gotten. We are trying to step things up here, and a lot of great stuff. Really, really good time, and I tell you what. It was a great show. Really great show.
It was a crazy weekend for all of us. I mean, it was cool, but it was very busy. Very busy. Very, very busy. But it's funny how we went from one extreme to now potentially the other.
Yeah.
So,
and it's really crazy how everything has progressed so quickly. But to know where we are now and how things go in the future, we always got to take a look back at history.
Taking a look at sports history, March 14, 2017, the world's oldest golf club, Muirfield in Scotland, votes to admit women as members for the first time in 273 years.
I mean, it only took 273 years, but we finally got there. March 15th, 1988, the NFL St. Louis Cardinals are officially moved to Phoenix to become the now Arizona Cardinals.
On March 16th, 1900, the AL meets in Chicago. Ban Johnson announces AL League will be the Chicago White Stockings, the Washington Senators, the Milwaukee Brewers, Detroit Tigers, Cleveland Blues, Boston Americans, the Philadelphia Athletics, and the Baltimore Orioles.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting mix of teams there, and especially given a lot of those teams ended up going on and rebranding, becoming the Red Sox and the Indians. So it's definitely very interesting to see how a lot of that started. March 17th, 2019, the PGA Players Championship at TPC at Sawgrass saw Rory McIlroy of Northern Ireland win the biggest check in golf at $2.25 million by one stroke over Jim Furyk.
That was a great tournament too. I love watching the players every year. I've actually had a chance to attend it 2 years ago.
Nice.
And it's a great event. It's a party.
Oh,
I want to cover it for Final Score next year just so we can interview drunk people and maybe interview some golfers, and it'll be fun.
Turn it into its own segment.
Exactly. Like how cool would it be? Like I know y'all would probably want to tune in to watch that kind of shit. Like come on. How cool would that be? Like that would be our thing. Like we do interviewing and do coverage of a golf outing, but in a different way than traditional sports.
We'd be almost like was it Facts in the Street or whatever they used to do back in the day with Jay Leno or David Letterman?
It'd be kind of like a little bit of a Barstool feel.
Yeah, it would.
Which I think would be pretty cool.
That would be fun.
So hopefully,
look at that. Ideas on air. Don't steal them. Anyways,
hopefully PGA Tour gets back to us. I talked to him last week, so hopefully they get back to us.
Hopefully.
That'd be great. But March 18th, 1892, Lord Stanley presents Silver Challenge Cup for hockey, which has now become Lord Stanley's Cup.
That's right. Lord Stanley's Cup. Flyers will get back one day. March 18th, 1995, Michael Jordan announces that he is ending his 17-month NBA retirement to return to the Chicago Bulls and goes on to win 3 more NBA championships.
Michael Jordan single-handedly crushed a virus by returning from retirement. Space Jam told the future. I'm saying Space Jam told the future.
Space Jam is being made right now.
It is. Has anyone checked on NBA players and NBA players and their skill level? Because I know LeBron was doing Space Jam too. So I think there's a connection.
Maybe. Come on, LeBron. Anyways,
bad joke.
It's okay.
I don't care.
You, but that was this week in sports history. And now we're gonna hit you with a good old give or go.
I'm gonna toss the first one up to you. So we got your boy Brewers Christian Yelich as part of his $215 million contract deferred until, get this, 2042. Give or go.
I'm going to give on this because I think it's very interesting because I don't think I've ever seen a player actually defer part of his contract so far into the future. Now, we've seen guys who ended up with ridiculous contracts that got paid forever. Way to go, New York Mets. But at the end of the day, I never seen somebody actually just willingly defer so much money. Now, to kind of give you a little bit of backstory on this, he signed a 9-year, $215 million contract with the Milwaukee Brewers to stay a Brewer, and then $4 million of his $26 million annual salary will be deferred from his contract years from 2022 to 2028. Now, the deal includes also a $20 million mutual option for 2029 with a $6.5 million buyout. Now, with that, a certain percentage of all that money is going to be saved. So $4 million over each of those seasons. That's pretty big. You're talking $24 million?
Yeah.
So $24 million plus if he plays the additional year, $2 million of that of the buyout was going to get deferred as well. So very interesting move. Do you think this is a smart move?
I mean, I honestly don't know too much about this because you're talking about moving money around. It's just a big game when you're moving money around on a contract like that. So, I mean, if they want to keep Yelich around for a lot longer, it makes sense. I mean, to defer money and move it around. But, I mean, for Yelich, as long as he can keep playing, I'm sure he would like it because he can get paid longer, like the Bobby Bonilla contract where he gets paid for life.
You know why? Because at the end of the day, it's a great idea. Because why not defer that money to when you get into your 50s? Now you still have millions that are getting paid to you. It seems like a brilliant idea. I'm surprised more players don't do this.
That's what I said, the Bobby Bonilla deal.
Yeah. Sorry, I just wanted to use that sound clip.
I know you did. You were waiting. I saw you over here like, can I do it now?
Just eyeing you. Just eyeing you.
That is incorrect.
All right, but I'm going to throw the next one to you. The Eagles, Dolphins, Ravens, and Chargers all submitted rule changes to the NFL, including an alternative to the onside kick. Give or go?
Give briefly because this needs to change anyway, which I think
Agreed.
the XFL is already on the right track. But you know how the NFL works. They don't want to just be a copycat unless the league dies, and then they can say they created it themselves.
But you got to make moves, and to make moves,
Gentlemen, let's broaden our minds.
Because if you don't, you're not going to make true headway. Come on, NFL.
I see that, but we had you mentioned the Dolphins. They wanted to provide the option to the defense for the game clock to start on the ref signal if they decline. Like they're offering like a bunch of little things that could be thrown in. I noticed the Eagles threw in like quite a few changes. They threw in 4 changes that they can modify the blindside block rule, make permanent expansion to replay, provide an alternative to the onside kick, which would allow the team who's trailing in the game an opportunity to maintain possession after scoring, which would be the 4th and 15 deal with the XFL already kind of does, or did, I should say. It's so weird.
So sad.
It's so weird that we don't have any sports. What are we gonna do? And then like just other little things like that. These rules are going to continue to change, but I think a great place that this could happen is they got to let the XFL be like the
vetter. Let them vet all this out.
Yeah, let them handle all this stuff. You've already seen a lot of the good rule changes that they've made that could very well be in the NFL in the next couple of years. So I think it's smart that these NFL teams, and they do it every year, everyone tries to throw in some new proposals and stuff.
Oh yeah.
It's up to at the end of the day, it's going to be up to the owners. So
it will be, and it's going to be interesting how it plays out, especially given we've seen a lot of changes when it comes to football as a whole. So it'll be interesting if any of these end up getting implemented. And I think, well, now that we're not having a league meeting in April, a lot of this is going to get pushed back again, but still something to take a look at.
Yeah, so we'll move on to the next one. I mean, because, there's not a whole lot to cover on that anymore.
No.
But here's a big one, and I'm really intrigued to hear your answer here. ESPN attempted to make a trade of broadcasters. They tried to get Al Michaels from NBC for a Monday Night Football dream team in the broadcast booth. Give or go.
I'm going to give on this briefly because I just find it very, very interesting because we've seen them trade coaches. We've seen things like that, but trying to trade commentators, like that's kind of earth shattering to me. But to kind of give you backstory, this is all about ESPN trying to pair Al Michaels with Peyton Manning for Monday Night Football going into the new season. Now, with this, ESPN is still in talks regardless of Peyton Manning and trying to bring him into the broadcast booth. But with Al Michaels, he still has 2 years left on his contract with NBC. So they were going to be hard-pressed to try and pull off this deal anyways. But Al Michaels was already going to be stepping away after his contract ends because Mike Tirico is already set to take over once that happens. And with all of it, ESPN originally did want to try and get Tony Romo, but Tony Romo had already signed his 10-year, $180 million contract with CBS, which obviously you're not going to say no to that. So that ended up being off the table for them. So ESPN going to the length of trying to basically make a trade for a commentator, it kind of just blew my mind that they would even try to attempt that.
So it's funny because this is not the first time this has ever happened.
Sean, do we have a gassed sound?
Do you blow your mind?
You just did.
Al Michaels has actually been traded before as a commentator.
Wow. Did not even know that.
He was traded to NBC in 2006.
Why do I not remember that? That's
Most
crazy.
people don't. Most people don't because he was traded to NBC for, drum roll. I wish we had a drum roll.
Now I know what to add, though.
Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. Yeah, exactly. Who? Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. So he was traded in 2006 from ABC to NBC. That was part of that big. It was actually a trade. So this has happened before.
Wow.
But I mean, they're trying. You mentioned they're trying to pair Peyton Manning in there with Al Michaels. But I mean, there's commentators move all the time because of contracts and stuff. I was more surprised about the other subsection that you mentioned, which was Tony Romo and that contract. Like Tony Romo, he's already, what did he have? His last contract was like $3 million.
Mm-hmm. Now he's getting almost $18 million a year.
Now he's getting almost $18 million a year. He's making, I think now, just as much, if not more, than what he made as a player yearly.
So what's funny about that too is that there's players that have come out and said that they'll just consider going into the broadcast booth now. They're like, if Tony Romo can go and make that kind of money, what am I doing playing football?
Yeah. So friend of the show, Nader, just commented. We got to shout this out because I love this. He goes, ESPN's going for trades is so much fun. I would love Manning and Pat McAfee to host Monday Night Football. Yes, Pat McAfee.
Please.
Pat McAfee is gold. I've been saying it for years. I love him. I think he'd be fantastic in a Monday Night Football atmosphere.
Oh, that would be insane.
Him and Peyton Manning would be really interesting. But I would really love to see. Oh God, who could you pair him with?
God, there's so much you could do with that.
You have to have somebody that's like kind of serious.
Yeah,
you know
you have
to
get that balance.
Because you don't want it to be like a Bill Walton and
what's
the other guy's name? I forget his name off the top of my head.
I can't either.
But those two are so like way out there.
Commentators not here.
But I would love to see Pat McAfee in a lead role for Monday Night Football. You can't get any worse than who's some of the worst commentators that have been on Monday Night Football or
Boogie McFarland.
Booger's pretty bad.
Booger. I said Boogie.
Who was the guy that worked
Chris
with
Collinsworth. Now here's a guy.
Here's a guy. Who else? There's one. He was a celebrity.
Chris Berman ended up just becoming Sounds.
That's true. But I mean, when you get back. I'm trying to think of the celebrity that was on Monday Night Football for a while in the 90s. He worked with Dan Fouts. He's a comedian. The comedian guy. You know what I'm talking about?
I can't remember his name. Saved my life. Don't mind us. Coronavirus has not taken us over, but we're feeling the effects.
Yeah, but I want to find this really quick.
Yeah, I do remember that, though, and it was really crazy the dynamic they had.
Dennis Miller.
Dennis Miller, yes.
That was terrible.
Yeah, that was bad.
That was terrible.
Bad.
Dennis Miller was so bad.
So bad.
But, I mean, I don't think it can get any worse than that. So, I think it'd be funny if they do end up trading. But there's no way. Al Michaels is such a staple at NBC right now with Sunday Night Football. I am really excited to see Peyton Manning in the booth, though.
That would be very interesting to see how that would work out. And I wouldn't be against seeing that. But we got to move on to our last topic. We are running out of time.
Thank you, Matthew. Yes, we do talk some sports, even though there are none.
Yeah, exactly. We try to do what we can. But former Patriots tight end Rob Gronkowski is in deep talks and close to finalizing a deal with WWE. Give her go.
I'm not surprised because he's already friends with a bunch of wrestlers, and he was involved with WrestleMania a few years ago.
Yeah, WrestleMania 33.
It just makes sense. One of his buddies is what's his name? He's a wrestler right now, Mojo Rawley.
Yeah, Mojo Rawley.
It's one of his best friends.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that, he would be appearing on WWE television at some point. So I mean, it's to me, it's not a big deal.
Yeah, it's not too surprising.
I think
he's
it'll
a
be
ham anyways.
I think it'll be a flash in the pan because I don't really know. It's a lot of hard work to be a wrestler. You and I both know this.
Oh yeah, and I don't know exactly how they're going to utilize him. He's not trained in any kind of way. So is he going to try and be a talent? Is he going to try and be some type of interviewer that's just there to mix it up? I don't know. Maybe a manager even.
I would love to see him on the commentator table.
Oh my gosh, they would end up with FCC complaints probably every single week.
They should have him with.
Do you see him during the New Year's Eve bash?
Who's the tattooed guy that does?
You narrowed it down. Oh, you're talking about
in the booth.
Corey Graves.
Yeah, Corey Graves. Can you imagine those two together?
Yeah, that would be really, really insane if that
with
were to
Jerry
happen.
the King Lawler.
Oh my god.
Yes.
Oh
That's
my
a dream.
gosh.
If anyone can tag the WWE in this right now, like please do.
Please do.
Because I would love to see that dream commentator table of Corey Graves, Jerry the King Lawler, and Rob Gronkowski.
Oh my god, that would be absolutely crazy.
That'd be fantastic.
Anyways, that is the end of Give Her a Go, and now we're gonna hit the sad part of our show, the week ahead.
And Matthew hit it right on the head. What do people watch without sports on? Well,
I don't know.
We don't know because
I met this woman who sits on the couch next to me. Apparently she's my wife. Really great woman. Really great woman though.
Well, that's nice. You
Yeah.
see, you're meeting
She likes
new
the
people.
color green. Yeah, I'm meeting new people.
You're
now.
meeting new people now.
Yeah.
That's great.
She's gonna kill me when I get home.
Yeah, probably. But the week ahead, I mean, we don't have sports. We don't know what's going to happen with the coronavirus updates that are constantly coming in.
Yeah.
I've actually got a tab open on my computer to keep tabs on what's going on. But I guess we'll see. We don't know. And we talked about Tampa Bay officials are meeting with WWE on Monday to see if they are going to go through with WrestleMania 36 next month. I got a text during the show so far that the Tampa mayor pretty much just said that if Vince doesn't cancel WrestleMania by next week, that the county commissioner will do it themselves.
Ooh, wow.
So the county commissioner,
They're trying to put it in Vince's hands.
yeah, the county commissioner has come out and said in Tampa that they are willing to shut down all events related to WrestleMania. And I made the joke at the beginning. The Saudis have come out and said that Vince can have WrestleMania in Saudi Arabia. Man, what does Vince do? But that's what we're looking forward to. We're looking forward to see any updates. So MLB
Hashtag
teams,
sports apocalypse.
yeah, sports teams. Spring training. Some of the teams have told all their players and staff to go home, but there are a handful of teams that are still continuing with spring training practice as normal.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's really going to be interesting to see what all these leagues do moving forward. And I know we're going to be watching very closely.
Oh,
with
absolutely. But sadly, with everything that's happening in sports, we have seen a number of shows kind of fall by the wayside, whether it be shows like Undisputed or a number of others. And sadly, we at Final Score will also be following suit. We will be going on hiatus for a brief amount of time while all this blows over because we really don't have anything to talk about. But we will definitely keep you updated. Just stay as close as you can to our social media pages at PCN Final Score on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and we'll bring you the latest and greatest updates that we can when they become available, whether it be with sports leagues or players, or hopefully if the NFL doesn't cancel free agency, with free agency. So we'll definitely see what happens, and then eventually we will announce when episode 51 will take place. And it's funny, we get all these new bells and whistles, and now we got to go on hiatus.
I know, but anything could happen. I mean, we could see how much happened over the last week. Anything can happen between this Saturday and next Saturday. So if we have a major breakthrough, we could end up having 51 next week. But
definitely could.
At this point, we're not expecting it, but we could have, little updates here and there. We might throw in like a little
couple live videos maybe here and there.
Yeah, a couple live videos. We have, we're scheduling interviews with other shows still. So we're looking forward to still hopefully bringing you some fun and interesting content over the next couple weeks while everyone's, dealing with this pandemic.
Yeah, definitely. So definitely make sure you keep in tune with all things Final Score, and we'll still try to bring you the very best that we can. But until then, I'm Chris. That's Craig. Everybody be safe, and please take precaution with this. And hopefully we'll see you on the other side for episode 51. Have a great night.
This is Final Score, your number one podcast for sports news. Here are your hosts, Chris and Craig.
Podcast City Network.